Hey church, I'm Colleen, and I'm honored to share with you today as we continue in the Live Differently series. Today we're going to be reading out of the book of Matthew, chapter 20, verse 28. But I'd encourage you to read this whole section of scripture. We're going to talk through it after we read the verse together. So let's look at verse 28. Matthew chapter 20, verse 28. Jesus says to his disciples, "For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others, and to give his life as a ransom for many." This story, this section of scripture, it's so fascinating. This mother comes, the mother of James and John, and comes and asks Jesus for a favor. And this favor she asks is that one of her sons would sit on either side of Jesus. And Jesus says to the mother, "You don't even know what you're asking. Can you even take this cup? Can you even drink the cup of my suffering?" And I love how they respond. They're like, "Yes, we totally can. We can totally." They don't even know what they're getting into. And so Jesus responds so gently and says, "Well, you will taste this cup of bitterness. But as far as where you're sitting, my Father has prepared that for specific people." And I love this because then he brings all the disciples together. He corrects gently them on their own, and he brings all the disciples together for this teachable moment. And he talks about how it is in the kingdom. And he says this, he says in verse 25, "But Jesus called them together and said, 'You know that the rulers of the world lord it over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them. But among you, it will be different.'" We as believers are to live different. And this is how he tells us to live. "Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be the first among you must become your slave." And then he says, verse 28, "For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and give his life as a ransom for many." What a great thought. What a great thought that in his kingdom, where we live different as believers, it's what we call the upside down kingdom. You know that in this world, a leader is on top. But I'll tell you, in our kingdom, that the leader serves others. And Jesus goes first in this. He leads by giving his life as a ransom for all. "For God so loved the world that he gave." He gave. That's what we as believers are called to do, to live different. I love how Jesus, even in this funny moment, he says, "I don't know about your sons, but let me tell you about the Son of Man." And every person in this environment would know exactly what that meant. In the Old Testament, the Son of Man referred to the Messiah. Jesus was saying, "I don't know what it is about your sons, but the Son of Man, the Messiah, this is how it is in his kingdom." We are called to live different. We are called not to lord over or flaunt authority, but to serve, to love, to give, to lead in that way. I love when it says in 1 Thessalonians 2:8, Paul says, we didn't just give you the gospel, we gave you our very lives. As believers, that's what we're called to do. We're called to serve, not just as a humanitarian organization, not just to meet a physical need, but to not just bring a gift, but to bring the gospel in our lives, in the way that we live, in the way that we offer, sacrifice, and serve for others. So my question for you today is, in what way can you better serve those around you? Not just those that you love and that are easy to serve, but the hard places, the hard spaces, those who might be asking hard things of you. How is you in your leadership, instead of flaunting your authority over others or lording it over others, how can we as disciples, as believers, come to serve others, to give our lives for others? I heard it once said that everyone wants to be a servant until they're treated like one. How can we serve others, irregardless of how they treat us back, because we know the one who served and gave his life for us? That because he gave his life for us, we can therefore go and give our lives for others. Go forth today and let's serve those around us the way that Christ has served us. Have a great day.